Kevin Natividad, thank you very much for joining me today. First and foremost, how are things in the lead up to your second UFC fight?
Everything's been good, man. Honestly, a lot better. I've been seeing a psychologist. So the biggest thing that I've been working on is the mind. So just feeling a lot better about everything. Training camp's a lot better now too. I got more than just the same 4 training partners that I had for the last fight, or my last 2 fights.
Yeah.
I got a variety of training partners now, and a bunch of them are very high level. So leading up to this fight, I'm feeling very confident, both physically and mentally.
Are you spending time at Fight Ready as well?
I am, actually. Yeah. I am. I'm kind of splitting my time in between. A lot of live work and technical wrestling work and wrestling defense and offense over at Fight Ready. Good sparring rounds too, because everybody up there is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then a lot of technical work here, Arizona Combat Sports with head coach Trevor Lally. And my brother too as well. My brother comes up with me to Fight Ready as well.
Yeah.
And we both work over here. So
let's just very briefly touch on your last fight, which was your UFC debut and a loss to Miles Johns. How do you look back on that fight?
I look back at that, not necessarily like, so easiest way I could say this, kind of. I don't look back at it like negatively in a way where, it just brings me down and keeps me suffering,
Yeah.
I look back at it and I imagine, if I'm going to fight that guy, what would I do? And that version of myself, I know that sounds like cheesy, but I know that's not like the fighter that I actually am. So especially leading up to that fight, I was super I think I was a bit overtrained. I had no pop in my punches. We trained for that fight like I was a boxer that had takedown defense. Yeah. And I know I'm way more than that,
Yeah.
There were just a lot of things back then that I knew I could have did way better, and a couple of things that I'm like, why didn't I do this? On top of that, the UFC jitters are real, man.
Yeah.
Like when I walked out there and I was walking out, like everybody's telling me like, oh man, you were singing your walkout song like crazy. Like you didn't even miss a beat. I'm like, I didn't even notice I was singing it. I was so nervous. I guess that was just keeping me a little calm. But and looking back at it, there's a lot I can improve. And honestly, I feel like for everybody else, I think it's just going to look way better because I felt like I looked so crappy back then.
Yeah. How much difference is it making the UFC walk? Because a lot of your fights have been in the LFA. How much of a step up is it in terms of your nerves and your mental side of the game?
So it was a huge thing at first. Walking out the first time, I thought it was just going to be the same, but it did not feel the same. It felt so different. I mean, Megan Levy was like talking about me and I could hear her. She had this whole thing about me and how I did magic tricks and everything, like leading up to the fight, how I used sleight of hand and everything. And I was like, I didn't even use any of that in the fight. but it was a big difference, man. It was crazy. Like the biggest thing I learned from that though was that I was so anxious. My mind was thinking about the fight instead of like that walk itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy to me how powerful the mind is, because I don't want to get too much into it on just this question, but on just this question, I'm sure you got a couple, but it was a big difference just mentally because it was the UFC.
Yeah, of course. And let's talk about the upcoming fight. So UFC 261, you are going to fight Daana Batgerel. First and foremost, how do you view him as an upcoming style matchup?
I can imagine us both standing, keep like standing toe to toe. A couple of things I won't mention just in case he watches this interview. I'm pretty sure they're all watching me too, because there's a couple of guys from like Mongolia and everything. They just started following me on Instagram recently, and his management too. And I'm just like, they're watching me. I should be careful what I post. But stylistically, couldn't ask for anything better. He's got good hands. He shoots pretty good takedowns. He's got good takedown defense. He's not afraid to throw. Like his second fight with Guida Canetti, I think it was. He just got in the guy's face and punched him, and he got in his chest and punched the guy in the face. And I was actually supposed to fight. I was actually asked to fight that guy, Guida Canetti, in Abu Dhabi. So I guess he took my place. And I couldn't ask for a better matchup. Plus, he trains out of Jackson Rank too.
Yeah.
And at one point, I'm pretty sure they were like one of the best gyms in the world. So kind of nice to fight a guy from one of the best gyms in the world in the biggest stage in the world for MMA.
Where do you see this fight primarily taking place? On the feet, on the ground, in the wrestling? Where do you primarily think this fight is going to be fought? Or a bit of everywhere?
A little bit of everywhere, but mostly on the feet.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. So yes, I'm I don't know. I know originally I'm a ground guy and everything, but I'm also Hawaiian at heart and Filipino. And both Hawaiians and Filipinos, they both like to slug it out, bang it out, and that's my plan. Technical controlled violence.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
And obviously this fight is at UFC 261, which is the first event back with crowds. Are you excited for that, to be finally performing back in front of a crowd?
I am, actually, because the fights without the crowds, to me, felt like a glorified sparring match.
Yeah.
I talked about it like I liked it before, but honestly, sparring in here, especially with the coaches and the rest of the team watching and everything, that honestly gives me more anxiety than actually going out to fight, you know? And I think it's because, it's my coaches and they're expecting me to fight a certain way. And, I'm especially fighting like different guys each round.
Yeah.
And then going out into a fight, like without the crowd and everything, it felt almost the same as that. But with the crowd and everything, I guess the big difference is that, especially since it's like a bunch of guys who have never like trained before, or a good mix of both, I feel like I got to show off,
Yeah.
So that it's kind of more motivating in a way for me. And like, I'm not afraid to take risks because like the crowd is like, if I do something crazy and even if I miss, the whole crowd just, like just goes crazy with it. So I don't know. I'm excited to have a crowd back in there, especially Florida, Jacksonville. Yeah. I heard it's pretty nuts up there.
Was it in any way hollow making your UFC debut without a crowd? Because I'm sure you would have envisaged a massive stadium, a load of noise. Was it in any way disappointing or slightly hollow?
A little bit. I mean, when I first imagined walking out to the crowd and everything, or my UFC debut, I imagined all the crowd and looking up at everybody in the bleachers, like just walking up with my hands up like this, regardless if anybody like, gives me a high five or not. I doubt that they would this time around, but if that's how I envisioned it. And walking out without a crowd and everything, like I said, it was just a giant glorified sparring match where we hit each other as hard as we could, even though that's kind of what we do already. You can't see but my face. We hit each other pretty hard.
Got to be done.
Yeah.
Gotta get ready.
Yep. Practice how you fight.
Are you looking forward to fighting on this card as well? Because this is probably the biggest card of the year so far. 3 title fights, a lot of big names.
Oh, 100%. I was super stoked when I found out it was going to be. I was already stoked because I'm a big fan of Rose and Wei Li, and then they added Usman and Masvidal, and like Valentina. Like, I couldn't ask for anything more, honestly. I was super stoked. Sorry.
Not a problem. I will speak to some fighters who say, I will speak to some fighters who will say that they don't really watch fighting. They're good at it, but they don't really watch the other fights.
Really?
Are you a big fan? And if so, what fight on the card that you're sharing at UFC 261 are you looking forward to?
Well, actually, who else is on the card besides those three? And that's not saying that I don't watch, because before I started fighting, I was a big fan first.
Yeah.
Actually, my first love was boxing. So I grew up watching boxing, and then after that, I started catching on to MMA because WEC. I used to watch Jose Aldo a lot. I was like his biggest fan at first, and that's also why I want to do good, because we're in the same division now, and then, you know how awesome it'd be if I could fight my old idol. I mean, he still pretty much is, but yeah, who else is on the card? 'Cause I'm definitely looking forward to all three of the title fights.
Yeah. How do you see them going, if you don't mind me asking?
So it's hard to say. I mean, I see them all being straight bangers, especially Wei Li and Rose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going for, not by much, but I'm going for Wei Li on that one, just because I'm such a big fan. And my fiance is Chinese as well, so we're both just going the Chinese route. But and it's hard to go against Rose, though. I like, similar to how it was with Joanna and Wei Li, except I think Rose just hits harder for some reason. I mean, for good reason.
Yeah.
And then Usman and Masvidal, I can see it going kind of similar.
Yeah.
To how it did originally. Yeah. I feel like Masvidal is awesome. I love the guy, like, as a fighter, especially. I've never met him or anything. My coaches know him pretty well. They just say he's a gangster. They talk about this. They talk about this thing in Russia where he's like, well, I probably shouldn't go too deep into that, but okay. he's yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that, but
you can tell me off camera.
Yeah, I'll tell you off camera. But I heard he's a gangster, man. Like, he's not afraid, and he'll go on there and fight.
Yeah,
it's just guys like this, like Usman, especially Usman. He looks like he's improved a lot.
Yeah,
on the feet, like he's shown to, like, I mean, just this fight with Gilbert Burns. I can't see it going much different. Maybe slightly more competitive on the feet, but not much different than how it was. If I think Usman's going to be smart about it, he's definitely going to use his takedowns to set up his offense, his striking. So.
Yeah. And if we turn the conversation back to you, what other goals, other than a W this month, do you have for the rest of 2021? And what else do you want to accomplish?
To be honest, as far as goals, I mean, obviously there's W. I'm trying to look at it one fight at a time.
Yeah.
You know, so, which is what I did before I even got signed. Like, I wasn't in a rush to get signed to the UFC. Yeah. So I was just like, one fight at a time. This LFA fight, maybe this RUF fight, or this, like, anywhere. Like, it didn't matter to me where I fought. Bellator. It didn't matter at first.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I got signed, I had this giant plan. Like, I wanted to fight like 4 times a year. I didn't care who it was. And I think I was thinking too far ahead instead of being right here, right now. So if I had to say, I would say I'm taking this one fight at a time. And after this, just generally, I'd like to fight at least 4 times this year.
Yeah. Does the Brian Kelleher fight still interest you? Because that was a fight that was signed and was put off due to COVID. Do you still want that fight?
Oh, I would definitely want that fight again. I mean, honestly, I was feeling better on that short notice bout to fight him versus when I fought Miles Johns.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of wish that fight happened instead. And then maybe like a little bit later down the line, I might fight with Miles. Because, I don't know, it was a little too many nerves.
Yeah.
I'd rather have my short notice or my debut be in short notice because I didn't get to think about it for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, if that fight ever comes up again, I'll say yes. And to be honest, whoever they give me, it doesn't really matter. Like I'm not even sure why I'm giving names sometimes. I'm kind of just like, when? Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Is that your mentality, just to fight, not to try and, play the game of divisional rankings and all of that? Just go in and just.
Oh no.
Just fight.
I mean, of course you got to play the game and everything, but I pride myself in being well-rounded.
Yeah.
So like, no matter how the fight goes, regardless, like let's say this guy I see him as a striker and everything, right? But let's say he decides to wrestle with me. Yeah. And we're not ready for that. Like, my game plan is gone. So I'm well-rounded though, so I can readjust, Yeah. Like I try to train myself to be the best fighter I can be everywhere, so that I won't have any surprises like that,
Of course.
So that's why I'm not really like worried about like fighting guys stylistically or anything. Or at least preferably, that's how I would like to be.
Now, something I wanted to touch on was that it was your birthday yesterday. I believe you were 28. Is that
yes,
correct?
It was my birthday yesterday.
So happy birthday first and foremost. But
Thank you, man.
You're very welcome. But I did want to ask, is it difficult having a birthday a couple of weeks before a fight, in terms of not going a little bit too loose on your weight or anything like that, and keeping things under control?
Oh no, it's fine. Okay. I don't really pig out or anything like Thursday anyway. I do on the weekends, a little bit, just a little bit. Just because I kind of gotta let my weight fluctuate, Yeah. I'll eat a bit more calories so that during the week, or I'll eat a little bit more calories during the weekend, and then during the weekdays, for some reason, it just falls off.
Yeah.
So I'm not super worried about it. Plus, for my birthday, I did like 4 rounds of hard sparring. So I couldn't ask for anything better on a birthday.
Am I correct in saying you were sparring with Henry Corrales?
Yes.
Yes. Great fighter.
That guy's a dog. He is. I don't know. He gives me some of my funnest rounds. Like he's not afraid to get in there, and I got to fight him a certain way, and it's just awesome because we're both helping each other improve. Yeah. Henry Corrales and a couple other guys as well. Yeah. I got a lot of training partners up there just like him.
Who do you work with most down there? Because I've spoke to a couple of the guys down at Fight Ready, the likes of Eddie, Eric Handers as well. I don't presume you'd be working with a big middleweight like Eric, but who else?
I haven't worked with Eric. But no, I mean, I haven't really worked with Eric, but just about everybody else I work with, whether it's wrestling or striking. And, typically I try to go around with the guys my size. The guys I have been working with mostly are my brother, obviously, Henry Corrales, Luke Sanders, and Hunter Ezra.
Yeah.
And Chance Ike, I work with him a lot. Junior Cortez and Tracy Cortez as well. So it's actually, I mean, it depends too, because sometimes there are guys that come in that I've never seen, and then my buddy Keone Diggs just started coming back in. Yeah. So he's a good friend from Hawaii, and the Hawaiian Kamuela Kirk, of course.
Yeah,
we got to keep that Hawaiian connection going.
I'm surprised you're not the big Hawaiian contingent seems to be down in Las Vegas in Extreme Couture. I spoke to a lot of the guys down there.
Oh yeah,
that's where a lot of the Hawaiians who aren't trained in Hawaii seem to go, isn't it?
Yeah, so it absolutely. I mean, I stopped by there back in November and said what's up to everybody. I'm really close with Kai Boy, and I know Maki pretty well too. Maki, Puna, Pololu's over there too. Yeah. There's a lot of we all pretty much know each other back there.
Well, I will leave you with one final question. Give me a prediction for the upcoming fight. What happens?
For my fight?
For your fight.
I do not want it to go past the second round. I do not want it to go past the second round. The first round, I realized that I need to be more patient, and I have been way more patient with everything. Like I said, I'm up here.
Yeah.
Like me up here right now feels unstoppable. I'm present. I'm here all the time. I know my values and what I need to do. So I'm gonna be patient, feel out the first round, see where I can find my openings, and the second round I'm gonna take it home. TKO either way.
TKO. So second
Yeah,
round.
second round TKO. Either I drop him, knock him out, or I got one final. Either I drop him and TKO him. Like, you know, it'd be nice to get a nice walk-off KO, or I just finish him on the ground after. Either one. Maybe I rock him and then I finish him off with a submission. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. 100%.
I got all the options in my head.
Yeah, of course.
That's
why you train, isn't it? You train for all facets of the game, of course.
Exactly. Train for everything.
I very much look forward to watching you again at UFC 261 in what will be hopefully it is a sold out arena now, isn't it? So
it is.
It will be nice for all of us.
Minutes. Yes. Be nice to hear the crowd again finally.
Yeah, of course. Before you go, Kevin, how can people find you on social media?
On social media, I have a Twitter account that needs work. It's I think it's my last name, so Natividad _Kevin. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And then my Instagram is knatividad.inc.
Superb. And before we finish, is there anything you would like to say or sign off with at all?
I don't know. I'm not really.
You're not obliged to. I just give people the option.
Well, stay tuned. UFC 261. That's corny as hell. I'm just gonna give you guys a show either way.
Yeah, 100%. Well, great talking to you today, Kevin.
Great talking to you, man.